Yeah, okay, yeah. So the only one missing is St. Andrews. Sometimes he comes in late.
Is she invited?
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular board meeting as for September 25th, 2025, Public Service Commission. Recording of members' attendance, everybody here is except for St. Andrews. In attendance. Declaration of quorum, we have that. Any visitors? None. Conflict of interest, is your opportunity to declare conflict of interest? None. Okay, adoption of the agenda. I need a motion for that. Jim, and second by Harvey. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed. The adoption of the minutes of the board meeting of August the 28th. Need a motion for that. Again? Ken? Second by Harvey. Harvey of Campbell. Ken of McCann. Question or comment on the motion? None. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed unanimously. Business arising from previous meetings, there is none according to my sheet, but new business, none according to my sheet. Moving too fast.
I'll say it and I will send it out to everybody, but I literally, within the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, received a reply to inquiry we made to the Premier about the heavy industrial tax. I haven't even read it all myself. Everybody, so.
All right, that brings us to staff reports and solid waste.
Okay, so there's a report here from our Director of Solid Waste. Just the basic stuff, ongoing landfill activities, ongoing recycle transfers, doing some capping. We did get our new approval to operate certificate. Province. We had a couple of small fires. We extinguished them ourselves. We haven't had to call the fire department yet this year. Yeah, I said yeah. We were able to handle all the fires we've had this year ourselves. There's a picture there he included of a couple of, there was a drone, another drone, some toys and things like that. We recovered, and we're getting some of that stuff in recycling. So recycling's a little more concerning because it's in a building. A lot of dry material around it. So they did not have a committee meeting this month, and no motion recommendations.
How's our, are we doing any advertising on the type of batteries? I'm sure we are. But batteries in the landfill or in the recycling?
And we want to do more.
That'd be something that new position would be doing something like. I think that would be good and get shared by all of us. It help.
Yeah.
And I've asked them to keep anything that starts a fire. I've asked them if they can recover it, to keep it. We'll take pictures of that and put that out there and say this started about, you know, that kind of stuff. Kind of keep that in mind as much as we can.
Good. If nothing else, we can go ahead to the local and regional planning report.
So community planning, some public information sessions for the town of St. Andrews. They're getting ready to do some public information sessions for Graham and Ann and their rural plan update. They're looking at some suggested amendments to St. Stephen's zoning bylaw, now going through public hearing. Since the board opted out of CRINS, which used to be the body that would approve cell towers, and it was sort of an arduous process, and now we are doing it. We were quickly able to give some approvals recently, including there's a new tower modification. It's near Pleasant Ridge. I think that's the Whittier Ridge one. It's quite an extension, and that should actually give coverage to the upper part of the 127 and the landfill area.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's like being on the moon out there. Nothing at all.
I wouldn't even have to go to crack or anything because it was already existing antenna, so there's no land impact there. But we're able to get that turned around within a day or two, which is good. There's another one that we gave approval for. I can't remember where that one was. So
Oak Hill?
Oak Hill, yeah. So it's speeding up the approval of cell towers, so that's helpful. So year to date, we've approved $45 million in construction and under 221 building permits, 241 development permits, 64 subdivision approvals, and total dwelling units year to date is 134 for the region. 94 new enforcement files will be opened in 2025. 212 have been brought into compliance total since we started doing this. And sometimes we close the file, sometimes they just, most of the time they actually just fix it themselves. We don't actually have to do anything other than give them notice, and the problem solves itself. In regional planning, supporting the new Eastern Charlotte local economic development staff person that you have. And there's a couple of other economic development agencies like Synergy and Future St. Stephen, and their parcel mapping. So we're doing some back-end work for all of these groups with the GIS mapping. And some other property and planning information to support some development stuff. Craft has met 8 times so far this year. Approved several private access subdivisions at its September meeting. There's no report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, the Eastern Charlotte Local Economic Development staff member is Lori Kelly. If you want to know her name.
Question, private access subdivisions, exactly what does that mean?
So if somebody's got a lot of land, and they want to subdivide it into multiple lots, typically DTI doesn't give you access all the time, or they're not going to build a road for you, right? So private access means that that subdivision has its own road that belongs to the private property owners. Can't always do that. It has to follow a bunch of stuff, and I'm not the technical person to ask about that.
Yeah,
but that doesn't always happen because there's a lot of rules around that in terms of length and access and meeting standards for the road and everything else.
that would be a gated community, is what I was kind of looking at.
Not necessarily. It doesn't look like a gated community. Usually it's just like they've got a large piece of land they want to subdivide, so they need to build their own road in order to, it's on the taxpayer to build and maintain that road. We actually have if I may, Mr. Chair, a little bit of a sidebar on that. So we have an issue with one property right now, kind of a major issue, where the property owner was selling subdivided lots to people without actually getting it subdivided first, and it would have been a private access. It turns out there was no way, shape, or form this is ever going to be able to happen. There's no way. But he already sold the lots, took the deposits, and to the point where one of the people that bought one of these lots moved here from Newfoundland. There was already like a camp there or something like that, but there's no private access. So they're now homeless. So they moved here, and they live on my road right now in their car. Right, but he did not go through the channels, didn't come to us to get, and we would have said, no, absolutely, you cannot subdivide this property.
Yeah.
So what's the lessons learned here is you should subdivide before you sell.
Talk to us first.
Or even before you go legally, like I'm sure a lawyer would advise you, if you're gonna subdivide, this is the process. Someone would have to advise someone.
Yes.
Yeah, because that wouldn't be fun for either side of that equation.
Right.
Was that land in the rural district? Or is it in a municipality?
Rural district.
It's in rural district, that's what I was, is it off the Fry Road?
I can't.
Okay, yes.
What I do as mayor, every time I get a question, here's the phone number for the Service Commission. No matter what it is, it could be a a fence, could be a roof, could be anything. Call them because I'm not gonna give you the answer because I'm not gonna go up there and measure.
They're more than happy to help out with any information, especially if somebody comes to us before
Before you do
they
it.
do anything, because they're more than happy to help out and talk to people. If you're building something, or you're thinking about subdividing a lot, or you're thinking about doing something with anything with a property,
Yeah.
and you have a question about what you can and can't do, just talk to us, because we're more than happy to provide that information. And sometimes, it's more help than you thought you were going to get.
Cool. Any other questions? No, if not, regional economic and workforce development.
Okay. A lot going on there. The Youth Opportunities Expos are happening in the next couple of weeks, Grand Manan and St. Andrews. So it's going to be some employer expos, some MBCC. They're going to have the trades trailer there. There's an entrepreneur panel, financial literacy, and some other workshops, including AI. Q3, the HR provided support to 16 different employers in the region, and some of those are nonprofits. That's part of our contract with PHRS. There is a free HR training event planned for October 16th in St. Stephen, and they're working in Campobello to arrange a training session down there as well. There is planning underway for a fall regional employment fair. There's 198 job openings right now and 60 different employers. And the ZIP feasibility studies in final draft form be ready for distribution next month. In investment readiness, efforts are ongoing with Huntsman Marine Center. So they're doing a marketing feasibility study about what's happening down there in terms of the science park. It's going to be, this is something they need to do in order to get more investment attraction down that way. Anaco and RDC are partners in that one. I think about 6 months. In community promotional efforts, so they're showcasing the region with Dalhousie Medical School. That's actually happening today. The Family Medicine Resident Education Symposium. So what it does, it promotes the region as residents' new home to start their practices. It's happening, as I said, today at the Algonquin. There's more than 100 family medicine residents from across the Maritimes there. They're also welcoming a group of 35 medical school students from Dow Medical School for a regional tour in October as well.
I get some really good feedback from Charlie. Yeah.
Good.
Really good. Well, good. Connected us very well. So I appreciate the work.
Business support, met with some funding partners to discuss some programs and concerns. There's several programs available to businesses for export development due to tariffs. So there's new programs from government to support if somebody's being affected by tariffs. There's not very many have taken advantage of that yet, but they're looking at kind of communicating that, getting that out through, and they're using chambers of commerce and things like that to get the word out about that one. Chamber's going to actually go to Macadam in October to discuss and what support they can provide, because there isn't that Macadam itself, so it could be an outreach possibility there. 3 regional chambers are working on a regional business mixer in November, as well as some learning series for the winter for their members. The committee, the Economic Development Committee, did meet on September 17th. Tasks is the agenda that happened, and minutes from there. There's a couple of action items that they're going to be published. Workforce development training and events in the Academy Alliance paper. And from the St. Stephen Chamber, they're going to visit Macadam. So I came over to that committee meeting.
I made like 30 seconds of it. Someone reminded me of it or something. And when I seen it, I got on there. It was about 2 minutes and she was down. I said, I hope that thing you were saying about the funding, I hope it's easier than the seafood one that she promised this spring. We had the association look into it, and there's no, for the seafood fact, there was no way to prove exactly if the Chinese tariffs affected it or not, more or less, and the government don't really wanna help you prove it, so end up rolling that money into the deficits anyway. That was what they told us.
Well, hopefully there's some good comes out of that one.
Yeah, hopefully it's better situation for this one.
All right, that moves us on to community development, I believe. Yeah, reasons.
Community development, had the committee met on September 4th. Some of the ongoing stuff is connecting organizations. Work is underway on sector development plan for learning network sessions for 25-26. So that means a lot of nonprofits and NGOs putting together seminars and education opportunities for them. Community Development Committee met on September 4th to review and provide input into our 2-year plan for ESIC. And so it's going to highlight some actions to pursue to address their 6 action areas in the outline in OPT4. Next Community Development Committee meeting is going to be December 4th. In communication, so more newsletter sharing, and there's been more subscriptions there. Some collaborative planning with Horizon Community Development and Resilience. So Resilience has a new person, by the way, region, and she's been pretty proactive in reaching out and she's been working quite a bit with Ray lately. And Horizon's rehiring, because Heather Chase is in a different position now. She was the community developer for that area. She's still around though and still engaged. And so right now they are taking applications for the resiliency funding, but also the ESIC community action funding. The applications are open for any of the grants. So you'll see a lot of those smaller grants that we put out throughout the year, and that's where those come from. That happens until January. They're looking for applications. In transportation, we've got our application into ESIC to do a 3-year, because it used to be a funding for a mile ride, but now it'll be a 3 years, so it's a year. It's a lot better for them. And they're planning a joint presentation for us, so they want to come to our committee of the whole next month. Valoride does, to do a presentation on what they're doing, which should be good for the board to connect with them, because we do support them in various ways, and it is our main. It's the main way that we fulfill our transportation mandate. So we'll be here next committee of the whole. Still waiting for an update on our Rural Transit Solutions Fund. Apply for again, which reminds me that if this one is a no again, last year it was around this time that we heard back that it was turned down. And if it's turned down again, then starting next month we got to figure out what to do with the money that we actually have in the transportation fund.
Down the next line.
So you're saying what's coming back?
I don't know yet for this one.
Okay.
But it was around this time last year that we found out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting to hear soon.
Right.
Can that funding be used for the next item?
Well, it's up to the board, whatever you want to do with that. But yeah, so we've been in contact with Dawn Voyage Tours, which is Robert Berrio. He has a 24-passenger bus, and he's looking for different ways that can be utilized in the region, and he is available for different ideas. And I know that he's been talking to quite a few people, but there is a bus available. So if there's something we can do to support that and kind of keep him going, he did do some tourism stuff in the summer, but off-season stuff is what really where he to find more funding.
Yeah, and I have a document with them, and put in touch with future St. Stephen to talk about his business case and how that can work for St. Stephen. But looking at it, it can't just be St. Stephen doing it for it to work.
No.
It just can't, because I can't expect town taxpayers to fund a bus that takes everyone to St. Andrews. Like, just, I'm sorry, like, St. Andrews, would benefit from our transportation, but it's got to be reciprocal.
Actually,
And I'm just picking on St. Andrews, but it could be anything. It could be a whale watching tour down to Campbell. I don't know what that might be, but.
well, I did receive a suggestion when I was at Eastern Charlotte at your council meeting about his bus. Would this funding be used in that way? And certainly, the funding can be used for anything you want it to be used for in terms of transportation. But remember, we only have this money right now.
And then there's next year. Yeah, no, I understand that. But either way, even if we were to use tax dollars besides that funding, I think it's got to be regional for it to actually end fairly for all sides of it. And don't get me wrong, it's needed. I think it could be utilized.
What I and Ray have kind of suggested to Robert was that we would, because this wouldn't cost very much money to do, we could get somebody like Stiletto, who's already in the transportation space, to put together a feasibility studies for a bus service kind of thing that he could use as ammunition for more funding.
Right.
So if they can do a sort of a study of the gaps that we have regionally for bus service, so that he's got a third party qualified person who says, yep, these identify and here's the gaps and here's the opportunities, then it makes it that much easier for him to develop a business plan and go forward. We could probably do that fairly inexpensively and quickly. That'd be one idea.
Appreciate it.
Okay, that moves us on to the regional tourism.
Okay. So I held a tourism committee meeting in the absence of anybody else at the moment. Had pretty good turnout, and at that I went over kind of the same things I went over with this board last time about our current state, our tourism promotion that we had outlined in our current strategic plan, where we are on the implementation of the plan that we already defined in our strategic plan, which is about halfway, and we actually kind of hit most of the milestones that we were supposed to hit by now anyway, according to that plan. We had the brand created, the website created, marketing plan was created, implemented, leaned a lot on social media influencers, and worked with Tourism New Brunswick and supplied some fam tours industry to address FIT and whatnot. We included but not implemented in the plan, but things we haven't done was creation of recreation itineraries, calendar of recreation activities, sport tourism opportunities. A lot of that is because we're not in the recreation space anymore. Assisting with hotel and venue development activities, we just never got to that point. Accessibility issues for recreation and those types of things. And then I talked with the committee about changes to the service as of August, where we eliminated the director position and wrapping up some contracts with suppliers that we currently have. Talked with them about our new direction. The volunteer, the way that current situations worldwide are, and the fact that we have to react rather quickly in tourism to changing conditions, the requirement to remain agile in what we're doing. The strategy we had didn't work for that. It was a lot of long-term planning, and things could be completely changed in 6 months. So that, and I talked about proposed changes, which was using our communication/PR coordinator, regular updates on the website, auditing the website for entries to make sure they're still valid and accurate, handling the incoming communications from tourism operators in the region, some social media updates on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Regular on-site visits to different parts of the region, and I'm suggesting minimum weekly for creation of social media content. So that'd be events and points of interest. Content will lean heavily on video, but include photos and stories. Monitoring social and web stats, and tracking most effective approaches, and giving recommendations for change and regularly reporting back. I also noted to them that this person isn't solely going to be tourism. Tourism will be a big part of their job, but we're also going to use them for the rest of the organization and communications. So the feedback I got back from the committee was positive. They really kind of were enthusiastic about this new direction. They really liked it. Agreed with that. They asked for some access to some photos and data, other stuff that we have. They also suggested they wanted to be able to talk with the PR person to give them some tips and kind of hints about where to go and find these special interest things. So I thought that was a great idea. There was an inquiry about representation for travel trade that will be covered by this person, but it's really not that invasive. We also determined that for the time being, considering the changes we're making in tourism promotion, that we're going to meet monthly. And I'll leave that until we get somebody else in place. And then the final suggestion, it was actually I came up with the suggestion that we maybe shoot for the spring and we put together some kind of a symposium of tourism operators. So people that are in the tourism business in the early spring, so before busy season, have a get together for as many as want to come. So they can kind of network and trade ideas with each other. Anyway, the committee thought that was a great idea. That'd be good for all the tourism operators to get together in a region, network a little bit. So that was some of my thinking.
The only question I've got is, everybody seems to be in agreement of moving that forward. Do we need a motion to do that? How soon do you want to advertise for somebody? I guess the sooner the better. We need somebody to start working on this. Here we are in September. We'd like to get somebody.
I have prepared a posting to put out for this person. I haven't posted it yet.
Do you need a motion for this case?
I don't have a motion for it.
Perfect. So that's good. I don't see anything negative here at the table between the committee and the board. I think
what we will have to do, and we'll probably do it either later on or in the new year, is we'll do an amendment to our actual strategic plan to include changes, because not everything's completely fleshed out. We've got to try a couple things here too, but we'll have to do an amendment to our strategic plan, which would be a more official by motion. Here's the change to our officially published strategic plan.
sounds good. Okay, that brings us up to the CEO report.
My report is fairly light as usual, but tracking the waste that we're getting was a little lower in August than the year previous, but if I look at the overall trend year to date, we're pretty much almost identical. We're almost on track exactly as last year, so there's nothing here alarming or ordinary in terms of the volume. Still less than it was a couple of years ago, but I'm not that concerned there. I've just got a graph here of the planning files. As usual, you probably better detail in the actual planning report, but you can see all the different types of. You can read that. I don't know. The printing didn't work. I don't know.
I thought it was me, so.
It's not just you. The electronic version is readable. Our website still remains reasonably busy for what it is. 6,000 page views in August, which isn't bad for that type of a website. So in other news, I've been doing some presentations to councils for our draft budget. I've been to Fundy Shores in Eastern Charlotte, Rural District, St. Andrews. scheduled to be in St. Stephen next
Next week.
week on the 1st, and Graham and Ann the day after that. And we're getting very similar comments from all presentations. People seem pleased with the budget in terms of being a reduction for billing overall. But it's not just about the money, which is, I actually like hearing this. So I've had a lot of comments about, well, are we going to be getting less? Or does this mean less service? Is this, how, because, we really appreciate the service we're getting kind of thing. And so I'm happy to hear that kind of a comment. The answer is no, there is no reduction actually where you're getting the biggest changes because we're playing a shell game with viruses happening because of the changes in tourism made a big difference. But yeah, those are the types of comments, and I'm happy to hear those. I did meet with ELG, came down, they sent a couple of representatives. There's a new position at ELG with Catherine Haynes. She's kind of our input into ELG and all things government, and senior staff have access to her as well, which is a new kind of thing at ELG. So they came down and met with senior staff. We talked about some of our concerns in solid waste and planning and economic development. Our CEO meetings have resumed. We took a break over the summer, but Jennifer Wilkins attended last week, and we had another meeting today. There's a couple of semi-significant meetings upcoming. There's one coming up in November in Bonnie. I talked with John Smith today, who's organizing the one in November, which is chairs and CEOs, and he's got, I think we're going to be talking with almost every government department, including Susan Hole. So sounds like it's going to be a pretty packed meeting time. We were successful with our application for the Fire Smart program. I just found that out last Friday. And I've been in contact with TSI, so we will get that plan on the go as soon as possible. One of the problems was that DNR were fairly busy with, ironically, wildfires over the summer. So that's why they didn't get back, and that's why the delay. And finally, Charlotte County Fall Fair, we were there. We gave away all kinds of shopping bags. We had a display of stuff that started fires at the landfill, which caused a lot of questions. We have some examples of building code, how not to build a deck and how to build an earthquake or seismic wall that our building inspector put together there. And we had the 360 photo booth, which was a huge hit. We had 190, was it 190 videos that people took on our 360.
Was that the ones where they were holding their hands or something behind them? I've seen a couple. Yeah, that was pretty neat to see people doing that.
People just absolutely love that. So it was good PR, I think.
Thanks for emailing that because I think it got messaged to me too, and I just deleted it because I didn't even know what I was deleting because I thought it was spam. I saw, that's that, so I just deleted it, and then I said, "Oh, Crystal, I think that was anyway." Thanks for emailing it.
Yeah.
Unless that was spam and that didn't get a text, I think it was because they got my number right.
Any questions for Hollis? Financial report.
Mark gave me a whole book for you guys this month. I'm not going to read it through every line here, but going through the main stuff. So when it says percent of annual budget, our target there is 66.7% because you're two-thirds through the year. So under revenue, if we're over that amount, solid waste is actually, the revenue's higher than budgeted. We budget pretty conservative on revenue anyway. Everything else is running where it should be. There's a couple of payments that we haven't got for some of the other services that will probably come in the next quarter, next short while. And under expenses, we are running under in solid waste. One of the reasons there is we've run 0 overtime this year. And we've just been watching a lot of expenses and things like that. So we're at 58.8%, so that's good. You can thank Mike Young for that one. And
then you get through all the season, the work will get done too. So we like that, it is good.
Right now, we're running a surplus overall for the organization of 635,000, and there's a breakdown here at the bottom of that first page where those surpluses are. Vast majority of that is solid waste. All the other ones are in deficit, but that's only because they haven't received the payments yet for a couple of months. Those have been deferred. On the other pages, you'll see this in more detail on each one of these and how we arrived at those figures, but basically look at the summary page is the first page, and then you can kind of get into where the savings were had or where the revenues were for any of the other services. And if you get beyond the summary income, there's a balance sheet included this month. Through that if you like, and work, but it's you know, our usual P&L, not P&L. Liabilities and balance. Again, no debt. And then he also included some nice graphs on just different streams of waste, where they are. So you can see, you can compare year over year, the different streams of waste and where that went. MSW, which is municipal solid waste, it's focusing. It's what we're expected to be. It's a little lower this year. I've noted that in just about everyone that we're getting a little less garbage residential.
Okay.
How far back can you go?
If I wanted
If you
to,
want to make a graph, just to like get a visual, 10 years, can you on this graph?
we got
Should be
records,
interesting.
going all the way back. And you can see that USA waste is about where I expect it to be, a little higher than last year, but certainly a lot lower than it used to be in 2022. No surprise there. Indeed, a little less, nothing significant, though I wouldn't call it significant. Difference. Western Valley's about where they normally would be. So,
Questions?
more interest than anything else.
Question for Hollis, I got one, how close, without, I know it's an HR question, how close are we to getting somebody to replace Mark? Don't really say names.
We haven't put the posting out there. I've been working with Mark and also with Jason,
Right.
and also with Western Valley. So it looks like the three of us, we can create a pretty good full-time position.
Good.
And kind of the same arrangement that Mark had,
Mhm.
right? Except that he used to do Bundy Regional Service Commission.
Mhm.
They're going to have a full-time. They're going to go with a full-time CFO in-house. But Western Valley's in the so it works out.
Good.
I've had a couple of ideas of who this person might be, but we haven't.
Yeah, nothing for, I understand that.
We want this in place early next year, so there's some overlap. Because it's highly likely that whoever we get might have some exposure to municipal, but not that much. They certainly won't have any exposure to regional service commission.
Absolutely not.
So we need a little bit of
Cross-training.
Good, any other questions or not? I'm gonna go to, we gotta get a motion to go into closed session, do we? Should need a little bit for that. Irene, seconder? Okay, Ken? Question or comment on going into closed session? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passing unanimously.
Could you share why you're on close? Just
It's an HR issue.
I knew that, but just want to make sure. Our dealers know.
I'll wait for, Hollis to shut it in.